Rice may seem harmless, but for seniors, it could be one of the most dangerous leftovers on the plate. Bacillus cereus, a spore-forming bacterium that survives cooking, thrives in cooked rice that cools too slowly or sits out too long. Once it begins producing toxins, no amount of reheating will make it safe again. These toxins don't trigger alarms like bad smells or strange textures.
If you're tired of being lied to, if you're ready to expose the truth they don't want you to know, then don't just watch. Join this fight. Hit subscribe right now so you never miss the facts the corporations hope you'll ignore. Every new video pulls back the curtain a little more, and together we're building a movement they can't silence. Subscribe, stay informed, and let's take back control, one truth at a time.
They hit quietly and hard, often leading to food poisoning symptoms at seniors, with weaker immune systems may not recognize until it's too late. What looks like a simple, reheated side dish could end up delivering nausea, vomiting, or worse, all because of a common habit done without pause. This is not about fear-mongering. It's about understanding how easily daily routines in the kitchen can become dangerous when food chemistry is ignored. Rice, chicken, potatoes, spinach, and eggs, all familiar, comforting staples, can become toxic if stored or reheated without care. And while the damage might be invisible, the consequences are not. For seniors especially, patience, precision, and respect for the science behind safe food practices aren't optional. They're essential. There are 5 foods most of us grew up eating, reheating, and never thinking twice about. But for seniors, those with weakened immune systems or slower digestion, these reheating habits could quietly be turning into serious health threats. Rice, chicken, potatoes, spinach, and eggs. On the surface, they're simple, familiar, and comforting. But when handled or reheated the wrong way, these everyday staples can morph into vehicles for toxins, bacteria, and chemical compounds that your body cannot afford to fight. Let's start with the quietest offender, rice. Most people think rice is harmless, but cooked rice can harbor Bacillus cereus spores. These spores survive even after the rice is cooked, lying dormant and waiting. The danger comes when cooked rice is left to cool slowly or stored improperly. That's when those spores come alive, multiply, and start producing toxins. Here's the kicker. Those toxins are heat resistant. So even if you reheat that rice until it's steaming, the toxins are still there. For younger adults, it may just lead to a rough night. But for seniors, this can mean severe food poisoning, nausea, vomiting, even hospitalization. To avoid this, rice needs to be cooled quickly, within an hour, stored in the fridge immediately, and reheated only once. If it's been sitting out, throw it out. It's not worth the risk. Next, chicken. Chicken is one of the most commonly reheated foods in the world, and also one of the riskiest. When chicken is reheated, especially in a microwave, it can heat unevenly. That leaves pockets of warm but not hot meat, perfect breeding grounds for bacteria like Salmonella and Campylobacter. You can't smell these bacteria. You can't see them. But if that chicken didn't reach the right internal temperature, they're still there. And just like with rice, seniors are especially vulnerable. The consequences of undercooked or improperly reheated poultry can escalate fast. And it doesn't help that chicken changes texture when reheated, becoming dry, chewy, even flavorless. So not only does it pose a danger, it also becomes unappetizing. The safest approach? Eat it fresh or refrigerate leftovers promptly and eat within a day or two. Reheat only once and make sure it's steaming all the way through. Anything less is rolling the dice. Potatoes are next. We're not talking about mashed potatoes drenched in butter. We're talking about foil-wrapped baked potatoes. These are a hidden danger that most people have never even heard about. When foil-wrapped potatoes are left at room temperature, they create a perfect anaerobic environment, no oxygen. And in that environment, a bacteria called Clostridium botulinum can thrive. This bacteria produces a neurotoxin so powerful that it can lead to botulism, causing muscle paralysis, difficulty breathing, and potentially death. Here's the horrifying part. Reheating the potato does not destroy the toxin. Botulinum toxin is one of the most dangerous substances known to science, and it's completely preventable. If you're baking potatoes, remove the foil after cooking. Cool them quickly. Store them in the fridge, not on the counter. And if you're going to reheat them, do it without the foil and ensure they're piping hot. That one step removing the foil, can be the difference between a safe meal and a hospital visit. Spinach might look innocent, even healthy, but there's a chemistry problem hiding under those green leaves. Spinach contains nitrates naturally. When it's cooked and then cooled and reheated, those nitrates can convert into nitrites and then into nitrosamines. These compounds are linked to health risks over time, especially for vulnerable populations like seniors and infants. While healthy adults may tolerate small amounts without immediate consequences, those with compromised systems could face issues with oxygen transport in the blood. This isn't theoretical. It's science. The solution is simple. Eat spinach freshly cooked, or store it cold and eat it cold. Don't reheat it. If it's been sitting in the fridge for more than a day or two, it's safer to throw it out. The risk isn't in the taste. It's in the chemistry. Last on the list, eggs. Everyone loves a good scrambled egg or omelet, and reheating them might seem harmless. But this is where the microwave becomes especially dangerous. Eggs, when microwaved, don't heat evenly. That means parts of the egg could remain cool enough for bacteria, like salmonella, to survive. At the same time, steam can build up inside the egg, especially in boiled or poached eggs, causing them to literally explode. That's not just a mess. It's a burn hazard. For seniors, who may have slower reaction times or less dexterity, that can lead to serious injuries. The workaround? If you're reheating eggs, do it slowly and gently on the stovetop, not in the microwave. Or better yet, eat them cold. Slice a hard-boiled egg onto a salad. Put leftover scrambled eggs into a sandwich. But avoid zapping them and hoping for the best. The risk is silent but real. Now, none of this is fear-mongering. This isn't about scaring people into never eating leftovers again. It's about understanding the science behind what happens when certain foods are cooled, stored, and reheated. Food safety is chemistry and microbiology. And when those rules are ignored, the price is paid in health, especially by seniors. The body changes with age. Immunity drops. Digestion slows. What the stomach could tolerate at 30 might not be safe at 70. That's not paranoia. That's physiology. And this is where patience matters. Most of these dangers arise from rushing. Leaving rice out because you're tired. Tossing a foil-wrapped potato into the oven without checking if it's been sitting too long. Popping an egg into the microwave to save time. These shortcuts may feel convenient, but they carry risks that stack up quietly, invisibly, and sometimes fatally. The traditional wisdom about not reheating certain foods isn't just superstition. It's based on observed consequences. People getting sick, patterns of food poisoning, cases of botulism or salmonella that trace back to specific practices. Modern science has validated many of those observations, showing exactly how and why those risks emerge. Spores that survive cooking, toxins that resist heat, bacteria that multiply in the right conditions, chemical transformations that alter the safety of vegetables. This is about treating food and your body with respect. Not fear, but understanding. Not panic, but discipline. Taking the time to cool food properly. Refrigerating it quickly. Reheating it slowly and thoroughly. These aren't huge sacrifices, but they can make all the difference. For seniors especially, these 5 foods, rice, chicken, potatoes, spinach, and eggs, are often part of daily meals. They're affordable, accessible, and familiar, but that familiarity breeds complacency. And it's that complacency that opens the door to hidden dangers. Every choice in the kitchen matters. The temperature you store food at, how long you leave it out, whether you reheat it once or twice. These aren't small details. They're decisions that can protect your health or put it at risk. And when the body is more vulnerable, as it often is with age, those risks carry more weight. So let's be clear, it's not about cutting these foods out of your diet. It's about respecting their risks, knowing which ones can develop toxins or harbor bacteria, and adjusting your habits accordingly. Because food should nourish, not harm. It should comfort, not endanger. It should bring strength, not send you to the emergency room. If you're a caregiver, family member, or simply someone who cooks for seniors, this matters even more. It's on you to make sure the food you serve is as safe as it is tasty. And that means knowing which foods to be extra cautious with. There's a reason these 5 are repeatedly flagged by food safety experts. They combine high nutritional content with microbiological complexity. They're also foods that are often mishandled in everyday kitchens, not out of ignorance, but habit. And now that you know, you can break that habit. Cool food fast. Store it smart. Reheat it once and thoroughly. Don't give bacteria or toxins a chance. If this helped you rethink some kitchen routines, hit the like button. Share this video with friends or family who need to know, especially anyone caring for seniors. Drop a comment if you've ever had a food poisoning scare, or if you've got safe reheating tips to share. And don't forget to subscribe for more practical, science-backed advice that protects your health and your families. Let's take a deeper look at why these rules matter, especially as we age. As we get older, our immune systems simply don't respond the way they used to. The gut lining thins. The stomach produces less acid. The body's ability to recognize and fight off pathogens becomes sluggish. So when a younger person might bounce back from mild food poisoning in a day or two, a senior could face dehydration, hospitalization, or worse. This isn't alarmism, it's reality. So when we talk about Bacillus cereus in rice or Clostridium botulinum in foil-wrapped potatoes, we're not discussing distant, rare phenomena. These are real pathogens, thriving in real kitchens, causing real damage when the basics are skipped. And let's not forget how quickly things can go wrong. Take rice, for example. It's often made in large batches and left to sit out while the rest of the meal is prepared or while family members serve themselves. Maybe someone forgets to put the leftovers away until after dinner. Maybe it sits out on the stovetop for 2 or 3 hours. No big deal, right? Wrong. That's plenty of time for spores to activate and start releasing toxins. Then the next day, you reheat that rice in the microwave, stir a bit, and eat. It tastes fine, but a few hours later, your stomach turns. Nausea, diarrhea. You're thinking it's a virus or something you caught outside, but it was the rice. Quiet, subtle, and completely avoidable with just one change. Cool it fast, refrigerate it promptly, and reheat it once the piping hot. It's the same story with chicken. Everyone's had leftover chicken, but how often do people cut it into smaller pieces before reheating? How many people use a thermometer to check that the inside reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit or higher? Not many, and that's where the danger creeps in. That leftover chicken breast might be hot on the edges and cool in the middle. That's not just gross, it's dangerous. And if you reheat it a second time, now you're flirting with disaster. And the irony is, people think they're saving time or reducing waste by reheating these foods. But what good is saving time if it lands you in the ER? What's the point of reducing waste if your body ends up suffering the consequences? Potatoes are even more deceptive. Everyone assumes they're totally safe because they're plant-based, right? But when foil traps in the moisture and creates an oxygen-free zone, botulism bacteria thrive. Especially if those potatoes are left sitting at room temperature. That's when the spores activate. That's when they produce that neurotoxin. And once it's there, heat won't save you. It's not like normal bacteria that dies off at high temperatures. Botulinum toxin survives reheating. You don't feel it, taste it, or smell it. But once it's in your system, it attacks the nerves, causes muscle paralysis. In extreme cases, it can shut down your ability to breathe. This is why food safety isn't about being paranoid. It's about being precise. And with spinach, the problem is different, but just as dangerous over time. The nitrates in leafy greens are not harmful on their own. But when cooked, cooled, and reheated, those nitrates can become nitrites. And nitrites, in turn, can convert into nitrosamines, a group of compounds with known links to long-term health risks. This is especially relevant for seniors whose oxygen transport systems are already under stress. For infants, it's even worse. It's why pediatricians warn parents against reheating spinach for babies. So even though your body may not instantly react to reheated spinach, the chemical change is happening quietly. It's not about one serving. It's about cumulative exposure, the repeated habits that build up over time. And it's these invisible risks that make this list so important, not just for seniors, but for anyone preparing meals for aging parents or grandparents. And eggs, something so simple come with their own minefield. The microwave turns a soft food into a roulette wheel. Why? Because eggs don't heat evenly. You might think it's hot all the way through, but you'd be wrong. There could be cold spots harboring live salmonella. Or worse, steam buildup in the yolk or inside a boiled egg that causes it to explode when you bite in or cut into it. That's not just startling, it's dangerous. Microwaves are great for convenience, but they're not reliable for heating foods that demand uniform temperature to be safe. Eggs, like chicken, need slow, consistent heat, not blasts of radiation that leave parts boiling while others stay cool. And if you're using eggs in sandwiches or salads, eat them cold. They're perfectly safe that way. But if they've been sitting out, or if you've already reheated them once, don't go back for another round. This all circles back to one core idea: patience. The modern kitchen is built on speed. We want quick meals, quick leftovers, quick fixes. But with certain foods, especially these 5, shortcuts can carry serious consequences. Food safety isn't just about expiry dates. It's about understanding how time and temperature interact with biology and chemistry. If you cool food too slowly, bacteria multiply. If you store it improperly, toxins form. If you reheat it unevenly, pathogens survive. These are not opinions. They're facts rooted in microbiology. And it's that science that seniors, and anyone cooking for them, need to understand. Because the risk isn't in the food itself. It's in the treatment of the food after it's cooked. No one's saying you should live in fear of your fridge. But you should be aware of what's actually safe to reheat, and what needs extra care, or just needs to be eaten fresh. Because food should be a source of nourishment, not anxiety. It should support your health, not undermine it. And that means doing the little things that add up to protection. Cool rice within an hour. Store it fast. Reheat it once. Cook chicken thoroughly. Cut it before reheating. Only once. Ditch foil before storing baked potatoes. Never leave them on the counter. Eat spinach fresh or cold. Don't reheat it after it's been stored. Handle eggs with care. Avoid the microwave. Use gentle, even heat, or eat them cold. It's not complicated, but it is critical. Too many people dismiss these warnings because the food looks fine, smells fine, or they've done it before, we're okay. But that's exactly the problem. Most of the time you might be fine. But foodborne illness doesn't care about how many times you dodged it before. It takes one mistake, one shortcut, one careless reheating for things to go very, very wrong. And when you're older, the consequences are steeper. Dehydration sets in faster. Recovery takes longer. Secondary infections are more dangerous. These aren't mild inconveniences. They're serious threats that are entirely preventable. So whether you're a senior watching this for yourself, or someone cooking for your parents, grandparents, or community, know this. Food safety isn't fear. It's respect. Respect for the chemistry that keeps food stable. Respect for the biology of the body. And respect for the process that ensures food does what it's supposed to: nourish, support, and strengthen. There's something deeply personal about food. It's tied to our memories, our families, our comfort. For seniors, it's often one of the last places where independence remains. Cooking for yourself, heating up leftovers, making a warm plate when no one else is around. And that's exactly why this conversation matters. Because what we eat and how we handle it can either protect that independence or take it away. The danger in these 5 foods doesn't come from some exotic ingredient or industrial additive. It comes from everyday habits, innocent, well-meaning choices that are part of our routines. But routine can be dangerous when it's not informed by science. And when you're living on your own or managing multiple medications, recovering from a foodborne illness isn't just uncomfortable, it's potentially life-threatening. Let's not sugarcoat it. A case of botulism from a poorly stored potato isn't just nausea and fatigue. It's nerve damage. It's blurred vision, muscle weakness, and a breathing tube in the ICU. It's weeks or even months of recovery. And it starts with a single baked potato left in foil on the counter. Or take rice, left out a little too long, thrown into the fridge hours after dinner. The next day it's microwaved and eaten quickly. A few hours later, the symptoms hit: stomach cramps, vomiting, diarrhea. But for a senior, that's not just an inconvenience. It can mean dehydration, organ strain, even a hospital visit. All because the rice wasn't cooled quickly and reheated properly. People don't talk about these risks enough. They assume food safety is about raw chicken or expired milk, but it's more than that. It's the subtle, invisible threats. The spores, toxins, and chemical changes you don't see. That's what makes these 5 foods so deceptive. They look fine. They smell fine. But inside, the danger is waiting. And this isn't about throwing everything out at the first sign of age. It's about respecting food, understanding how it works, understanding how time and temperature are not optional, they're critical. Because here's the thing, food doesn't become dangerous all at once. It doesn't scream for attention. It quietly becomes unsafe when it's left out too long, cooled too slowly, or reheated the wrong way. It quietly collects bacteria or builds up toxins. And if no one tells you about these processes, if no one teaches you, then you're left trusting old habits that may have been fine years ago but aren't fine anymore, especially as the body changes, as the gut weakens, as your immune system slows down. That's when these invisible threats can knock you down hard. And let's be honest, no one wants to feel afraid of their own kitchen. But this isn't about fear, it's about power. It's about knowledge. When you understand the risks, you can take control of them. When you know that rice needs to be cooled fast and eaten within a day or two, you can do that. When you know chicken must be reheated evenly and thoroughly, you'll take the time. When you know that foil-wrapped potatoes must be refrigerated without the foil, you'll remember to peel it off. These are not massive changes, but they're the difference between safe and unsafe, between health and harm. And if you've never had a food poisoning incident, that's great. But don't let that lull you into false security. Prevention is boring until it saves you. So let this be your reminder, your wake-up call, your nudge to slow down and pay attention. Because whether it's your rice, your chicken, your potatoes, your spinach, or your eggs, these foods deserve your respect. Your body deserves your patience. And your kitchen deserves your mindfulness. If you found this helpful, hit that like button. Share this with the people you care about, especially those who are aging or caring for someone who is. Drop a comment below if you've experienced a food safety scare or changed your habits. And don't forget to subscribe for more practical, no-nonsense guidance that puts your health first. Stay safe, stay smart, and never stop learning.